Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with April Bernal Cleek, where she tells us why you should pay it forward, as well as how generosity made her millions. Don't go anywhere. Part 2 is just around the corner.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast
with your host, Thor Conklin.
Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. So April invited me up to this event with some amazing entrepreneurs from literally, was it an international group? I guess everyone was
not international, but all over the States.
Yeah, all over the United States. They flew in. It was a group that had met at Necker Island, which is Richard Branson's island, a couple of years ago. So these are just kick-ass entrepreneurs. And I didn't know anybody. Well, I knew a couple, but I didn't know the majority of the group. And someone else asked for a special request. They wanted a unicorn stuffed animal, and they wanted a nightlight that had a rainbow nightlight, and sippy straws that were curly.
Yes.
So I didn't know this guy, but I was going as a guest to this event. I was being included into their group. So I figured, okay, look, I'm not going to figure out what I can get. Let me go give something. So I got Zach this stuff. Most of the people thought I knew Zach before I did that, because it's not every day some other dude buys you a unicorn stuffed animal. But the point is, get around people, and this is something I've been talking an awful lot about, April, and you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this, but it's really getting around people that are operating at a level above you. And again, I'm not trying to draw, I'm not saying where success lies or how it lies, but get around people that are getting exceptional results, whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships and spirituality, whatever it is, whatever you're looking for, find the best, model them, but get in their presence.
Yep.
And this is something that you've done ever since I've known you. You have done this. I mean, you were in Dubai. You were in Dubai for New Year's, and you were invited by the Prince of Dubai.
Of Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sure the other guy's going to call next year.
Only the capital. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was with the royal family and the Prince of Abu Dhabi, and there's 25 of us invited, and Sergey Brin, the founder of Google, was one of them as well. So to be a part of this group amongst other amazing people was such an honor, and it was unbelievable. But someone taught on this weekend, Thor. If you remember, they were talking about the plus, the minus, and equals, and finding a plus. And it's like, who is that plus that's going, that's a little bit further, going faster, going harder, and and befriend them, and, start to go. I believe birds of a feather flock together. So create those birds. And if they're flying higher, then get around them so you can fly higher.
And you've always been able to do this. What's your secret to this?
No,
No, you have. I mean, I know even, I've got some inside information on other eagles that you fly with that are as impressive.
Yeah. I mean, Richard Branson has become a very dear friend of mine, the Branson family in general, and I am the one that kind of has hosted Necker for several years. But I'll be honest, Thor, I feel as though just honestly being genuine and authentic has been opening these doors. I'm not looking to rub shoulders so that I can feel better about myself or create an ego or get something from them. I have had real life experiences that have had high highs and low lows. And when I meet people, I'm an open book, and I've shared some of the really painful times in my life or really high moments, and it's met them right when they're at. And I feel like that's how I've been able to establish what I would call friendships. And whether it turns into business relationships or more than that, for me personally has just been being authentic, and being me.
Yeah.
Not there's nothing in it for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
And not going in figuring out what you can get.
That's right.
We talk about it all the time here on the show. That's
right.
the way you get into these networks. Figure out what you can provide.
Yes.
How you can add value.
Yes.
Because they can sniff out a taker in a second.
That's right. I mean, it's amazing. Kindness and authenticity go a long way. And I've been around, a lot of billionaires, and I'll tell you what, they're some of the most kind and authentic human beings I've ever met. And the ones that aren't my style, and that's fine. If that's how you roll, great, but I'm not interested. And, the more that I continue to give, and I have a book coming out, and it's how generosity and gratefulness made me millions. And so going from that, generosity place, we talked about gratitude. Now it's the giving of self, giving of just, being present, wanting to know you ask, how can I help you? What can I give to you? Giving gives way more, and it fuels way more, and it satisfies way more than receiving.
It really does. It does to the people that are genuine and not trying to figure out what to extract. I mean, it applies in every aspect of business and in life. Could you imagine going into your clients, and this is what some people actually do. You actually feel this. They go into their client's office, right? And they go, okay, how can I get their money out of their pocket into mine? And that's their thought process. How do I get their money? How do I get their money? But the people that go in and say, okay, what do you need? What do you want? How can I help? Can I help? Maybe I'm not the right person. Maybe somebody else I know that actually could help you more. Is there even an issue here that I can address? Those are the ones where that's where they open up their wallets and go, I want to give you more. I want to give you more.
Yes. I will say too, I'm just thinking about it. I am definitely a visualizer and a thinker and a vision board kind of person. And the more I have practiced or gone after, not even practice, but let's say I put something on a vision board and it's to meet Richard Branson, hypothetically, it has happened in my life.
And did you do that?
It really truly has so many things, and there are so many things that haven't yet, but there's power to that. I don't know if you talk about that a lot on your podcast. I assume you do, but
actually, it's interesting. I don't, and I come from a background of very, very big belief in that area. We don't talk about it. We haven't spoken about it as much as we probably should. And I got to tell you that's actually as a result of my beliefs or my belief. I come from, I do a lot of work with Tony Robbins, and great organization, great man. And that organization tends to have a lot of what I call the woo-woo crowd, right?
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I am a big believer of the woo-woo.
Yes.
But it's so ingrained in that community that I tend to kind of go a little bit the opposite way, just as a balance, because anytime someone hears, oh, he works with Tony Robbins, he's that woo-woo guy, right? Because the entire crowd is like that. So, but I have them. I visualize every single day. I sit down. Part of my morning success ritual is to envision the things that I'm working towards. And it is not a haphazard practice. It is a very deep meditation. You and I were talking about meditation for stress release over the weekend. And I said, never use it to reduce stress. But meditation is so important to connect with yourself and connect with what you're trying to build and create. You want to see it, feel it, touch it. Yeah. So I don't talk about it as much. I probably should more. But that's my excuse, or at least my story of why I don't speak about it more.
But I appreciate that, because I love that you say the woo-woo. That's hilarious. But you're right, because it can be very pie in the sky, like, oh, I'm going to have a vision board and I'm just going to walk around and chant. And And it's not, it's the practical doing, because you just said it perfectly. You get up in the morning, here's your morning success ritual, and then you execute on it and you do it. And I think there's a fine line of jumping up and down and cheering and executing and following through.
Yeah.
And it's two totally, if you want to meet Richard Branson, then put yourself in an environment where you can meet him. If one of your goals is to get to Necker Island, then figure out how you're going to get there. If one, so there's a doing of it too, not just like, oh, I'm going to walk in the airport and one day I'm going to meet Richard. You know what I'm saying? So and I think that too many times people don't want to put forth the effort that it takes to get what you want. So one of mine is, I want a business jet. That's what I want.
Oh,
and
very
so
cool. What kind?
How am I going to, I'm sorry.
What kind?
See, I haven't gotten that
yeah.
granular, and I know better. Right now I've always put a King Air, like I always say,
okay.
a King Air. But so I'll say a King Air for now. However, then probably a little bit bigger, because I want to be able to travel easily. I want to be able to bring my family and my help and everybody that helps kind of make my world go round. And I mean, we know the hustle and bustle, but it's like, I know I will have it one day. I know it will happen. Well, how am I going to get there? And so now I'm executing on businesses and plans and strategies to achieve it. And so it's not that the fact the plane's on my vision board, it's the what am I doing to get there? So the vision paired with the execution, is to me where it's at.
Yeah. And you're hanging around with people that have G6s.
Correct.
So, and before they had the G6, they probably had the King Air, and they know how to get the King Air.
So I actually have a story. I think it's a good lesson. Well, and why I believe in the whole pay it forward too. When two stories. When that man offered me that job in the restaurant, I said from that day on, and I got that job and it changed my life. I said, I will pay it forward as much as I can for the rest of my life to anybody that I have that opportunity to. And my company has been able to employ over 450 people in the last almost 8 years. And so many of them I rescued from a lot of financial distress, or couldn't pay their bills, or have 5 kids, or have been able to make it. And I've been able to give my family jobs, my friends jobs. So there's this element of one, paying it forward when you get given opportunity and you turn it into, how can I give it back? So my story that I was about to tell is I was hosting a trip at Necker Island. I get there on Monday. It takes 12 hours to get down there. Welcome, everybody. So happy you're here. I get a phone call and I have to be back in Atlanta Wednesday morning. So I have to get on a plane. I just showed up. I'm the host. I have to get on a plane Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., fly all the way back, and I had to be somewhere Wednesday. Actually, I had to be in court on Wednesday. I was in court all day Wednesday, and I got carried over until Thursday. Well, the fact that it got carried over Thursday, I can't get back to Necker till Friday, and the trip's pretty much over. It's over on Saturday. So here I've missed the whole week that I've hosted, etc. Well, somebody down there at Necker didn't even really know who they were or who I was. They were invited through a friend, and had flown his jet down there. He calls his crew, his 2 pilots, and says, can you please leave the Virgin Islands, fly to Atlanta, pick up April, wait until she's out of court that morning, Thursday morning, and fly her back. Free, never asked for a penny, did it to bless me and gave to me. And that day I said, I thank you that I will have a plane and pay back the favor one day. It was probably one of the most generous and kindest things that have ever happened to me in my life. And so again, that's part of why I want the jet, not just selfishly, but I want to be able to do that when somebody needs what I needed at that time. And it rocked my world.
Wow. I mean, just fuel cost and pilots, you're looking at probably $25,000.
It was. I think it was 2021. Wow.
Amazing.
Just because they're generous and that's what they wanted to do. Like, that's what I want to do all day long. It's not about like, oh, I have this amazing jet. It's like, what can I do with it?
Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. Was Richard one of the people that you actually wanted to meet? Was he on your vision board? Okay.
No, he wasn't. Isn't that funny? And they have become a dear, dear family of mine. No, I mean, he's amazing.
How did you meet him?
I got invited to go to Necker Island through a bunch of entrepreneurs and accepted the invitation, went. And to be honest, it wasn't the kind of trip I was expecting to be on. Everybody was fighting for his attention, and I'm not one to do that. And so it was a great trip. I was thankful. Not even sure I even spoke to him much, and the trip was over. Well, I extended my stay for a couple days down there and went over to the Bitter and Yacht Club. And once we got over there, the staff from Necker came over and said, hey, listen, Richard's back on the island because he had left at that time, and he's back with his wife, Joan. We don't have any guests on the island. Would you guys like to come back? And at that time, there's only about 6 of us left that extended our trip. So, of course, we accepted the invitation, went back to Necker, and that night in Richard's home, there was about 8 of us just sitting around talking. Joan and I, his wife, stayed up talking till, 1 or 2 in the morning, just about life and kids and babies. And I just shared a lot of my story with her and my infertility struggle and going through IVF and getting the twins. And I had then just had my third. And my story just really touched her heart. And she went to bed, shared it with Richard. Richard had shared it with me. And next thing you know, their daughter Holly is pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. I just had a boy and a girl. And I started just sharing all my twin secrets and favorite presents. And I went back 2 more times that year. And then, we've just been friends ever since. And then they invited me to come along on what was called a Strive Challenge in Italy for 5 weeks. And Holly said, bring the kids along. I'm going to bring my kids. Let's tote along. And we went from the Matterhorn of Switzerland to summiting Mount Etna in Sicily in 5 weeks, all by human strength and human power. And so you spend a lot of time, with people in experiencing something as grueling as that was, and get to knowing each other. But that was 4 years ago when we met, and we've done a lot of adventures and trips since, which has just been really wonderful.
And I'm sure met some really interesting people that were guests as well.
Amazing people. Yes.
Everybody's interested in success. However, only a few are really committed to it. What's the difference? Those that are committed are willing to do whatever it takes in order to get their outcome, in order to get their goals. If you're not getting the results you need and want, chances are it's accountability. Who's holding you accountable? I've got a challenge for you. For 1 month, 30 days, and $95, our team will hold you accountable for what you said you were going to get done in that month to get your goals, get your outcomes done. If at the end of 30 days you don't like the results or you just didn't like the system, we'll give you your money back. The question is, are you interested or are you committed?
Keep an eye out for part 3 of our interview with April, where she gives us 3 tips to running a business as a single mother, in addition to telling us about her latest venture. See you next time on Peak Performers Podcast.